Okay, so this video is going to be looking at higher time frames when looking for execution, so looking at those 15-minute and 5-minute ranges, and reasons on why I would no longer be looking at the 1-minute ranges, judging off of their higher time frames. For example, if there is a let's just pretend this is 1-minute chart, and let's say the 15-minute order block is here, and then we start holding it here and close something like this. For example, I'm no longer looking at this range down here because we're already holding that order block on the 15-minute, which is already suggesting to me that we are not going to come back down to the bottom of the range. So all I'd be looking at off of that is a continuation play after we close the higher, come back down to that order block. This is I'm talking about if this was a 1-minute time frame. We'll do some examples so it's a bit more clear. But 15-minute order block, right? Pretending this is the higher, brought us down, and this is the 1-minute chart. We hold it, close it, and then we're looking for that 1-minute order block to test into it and get a trade off of it. Because I know it's a bit confusing sometimes seeing all these highs and lows, and obviously just expecting, well, if we've closed the high up here, surely we're going to come all the way down to here. But when you look at higher time frames and see how big the candle is, you can kind of see that there's no reason for price to dig all the way in anymore, because of what's now happened is we've closed the 15-minute higher, and then the 15-minute order book's down here and getting held. If this is a 1-minute range down here, it doesn't have to go down here. So we're just looking to see if the 15-minute order box is holding. We're closing the high that test into it, and then we're getting a re-entry off of that. No longer looking for stuff down here. So we're just getting to some examples here. I think I've chosen a pretty good time for this. Can look at some other time frames real quick so we know what we can look for. Well, we have a higher, a low and a high in the 4-hour. This is a mini range. We can expect some sort of pullback, even if it's just momentarily, off of this order block. The whole concept of price action right now, in my opinion, is we closed here. We're holding this order block. It doesn't matter what point we're holding. We could even come all the way down and sweep this level before we continue up. We're just looking to see what's happening off of it, right, and taking trades off of that. It can go as deep as whatever the lowest 1-minute range is before this black line. You have to always keep that in mind. We can't look that far back, but it can come all the way down to here. We close this higher at, so the high is actually all the way over here. This 1-minute order block can be tested. Probably best to look at on the 15-minute. Gotta get a better picture of what's going on. Okay. We can come all the way down to here before it does anything, right? So this is what I'm saying, it can go all the way down to here before it flips. It doesn't have to though. It's the same for other time frames. If there's a 15-minute order block here, there's nothing saying that it has to come down. If it does, well, you just look for your entries, right? So we'll do some stuff on the 1-minute, do a couple of examples. So for what's going on right now, the 15-minute order block and the order block at the high for the order block is all the way up here, right? All the way up. Has to do a lot of digging to get up. So there's nothing to go off yet on this range, on this time frame. We have something to go off on this range. We have a low that's been closed. We can expect price to flip back up to here I'd be using this as a bait range. Why is this a bait range? Because this is the first range to close before hitting this. So because we've hit a level that can flip direction, this first range can be used to see if direction is going to hold and continue down, or it's going to get above and continue up. So that's why I always see it as a bait range. You don't have to not take any trades in these ranges. You can still take trades in this ranges, but you just have to realize how much more aggressive the trades becomes at that point. So for example, if you was targeting your regular 1R, if you're entering a bait range, just consider halving that, just because this can fail a lot more likely if this is a bait range. But yeah, so right now what we're looking for is that going to hold? We have the furthest in that it can go. We're going to the 1 minute. So closed right, order block all the way up here, so it can go as deep as the 1 minute order block. If it was going to flip, this is we don't care about any movement in this range at all, because we've now hit the daily. So kind of taking the trade off of this, it's just completely eliminating the fact that there's a high time frame here and it can flip direction, which is a stupid trade to enter because we've hit target now. Direction is trying to change. It can go down all the way here before it comes up, so anything below that I'm not looking at to short. Move a couple of candles, we can start to see if there's any signs of going up. First sign. So if I was looking for a long here, I would use this first thing as a bait range. First range here that got closed, the high was here. The order block for that was tested and held, so I would be looking at that. Once it closes, can we get a trade off of it? So trading back down. Turn back down. This range isn't going to do anything, right? This range has already been tested anyway, even if it was a range to worry about. We closed it, we came up, we held the order block. This range isn't going to hold again. It's a random range in the middle of nowhere. There's no higher time frame associated to it. The 5 minute order box here. This range has nothing to do with that. So this is something I would try first, and then after that I'd be waiting to see what happens here. Does direction flip, or does it just completely blow out the water that we was expecting to happen? Because we've got that high time frame. This is why we wait for these bait ranges to hold, and then we can start to see what's happening now. We closed the high of the range that tested into the daily. We go to the 5 minute, we find where the order block is. Order block's here. We don't have to come all the way down to here, but we can. And then 15 minute, like we said, is really high up. There's no higher until here, so there's nothing to look at. We've got this high. That's kind of all we have here. So is there anything to go off of yet? No, nothing at all. Okay, this is a point I'd be looking at. This is the higher of the range. If this is going to hold, it's going to be an aggressive move, right? So I'm looking for that first 1 minute. That first 1 minute range, which is the highest here, to close. Use this as a bait range, and if it tests back down and holds, we can go for this, because if this is holding and we're getting the confirmation that this high is closing for the range that tested into it, there's now no reason for price to come all the way back down to here, at least until we get back up to here, and this could possibly fail to get above to bring us all the way down. But we should at the very least try and get up to here, and the sign of that happening is holding the high of the range, which is the more aggressive part of it, closing the first range, and then if you want to wait for a bit more, you can use this as a bait range to hold and get the next thing. Because it's an aggressive move, you might not get that opportunity, so you can just wait for this to close and then see what you can get off of it. You wouldn't have been able to get anything, but that's what I would have done. We find the order block. This is the only point it can momentarily flip the direction if it is going to continue up. So momentarily flip direction, it might only get to this first range here. Doesn't even get down to that, continues up. So there's still a long way to go before we get to the target all the way up here. Going to higher time frame. Now we have something to work with. We have a range on the 15-minute. We've closed. There's no reason to come down to here. Not yet. At all. There's a possibility of coming down to here once we close. Right now, if we come down to here, we're most likely going to foul. So what I'd be looking at here is this range. So order block is here. And I think this is the thing you're kind of getting stuck on, is seeing this high here and looking at the lowest point of it to hold. It doesn't have to go all the way down to the lowest point. It could go to the 5-minute order block. It could go to the 15-minute order block. Just react off of what one is holding. So you need to be marking out all the order blocks here, kind of on the 15-5-1. And then just react off of what it's showing you. If the 15-minute order block, which is obviously going to be the highest one, is holding, wait for that first range to close and then take your entry off of that, because it's showing you by holding there's no reason to now go to the 5-minute or the 1-minute order block. Because this is it, right? You're not closing every high and immediately going to every single order block. You're not closing the high and going here, because if that was the case, you'd be stopping at every single one. Just look at the actual range and what are the order blocks in that range, starting from the 15 down to the 1. You can also obviously look at the daily, the 4-hour, and if you're still looking at the 1-hour time frame, you can look at that as well. I don't look at the 1-hour time frame. You still can. Just because I don't doesn't mean you don't have to. I just don't really find the need to look at it. So we closed the high. If we was looking for an aggressive move, it would be now. I'm not looking for an aggressive move. So this is the daily, this is the 15-minute. We're waiting to see what happens off of this. What would I be waiting for? I'd be waiting for, right now, the high to be closed. This is the high that brought us down. So we wait for that. Closed, cool. So once we come down, test into that range round. We don't come to the order block. We come to the lowest gap on the inversion side. We don't come to the order block. If you're going for trades based off just order blocks, which primarily I think you should. It's going to mean you miss a lot of trades, but your trades are going to work out a lot more. What you can do to counter missing any trade after that is if that gap's holding and then you close the higher, if it brought you into that gap, we no longer need to look at this. We can look at this new range. Could you have got anything off of that? No. Once the order block comes back down to the order block though, and then you can. So now you've came to the order block. Obviously now there's no reason to come to here. For this higher, the order block's here. So if we're looking for our next thing, it would be here. So this 15 minute is holding, right? If it's 15 minutes holding, like I said, no reason to come down to this or come down to this. This is holding. This is showing us signs that we don't need to go lower. We're cycling up. We're not going any lower than the point that tested into that. We move up. We get to that daily, so we can anticipate if anything it's going to flip us down before up. It's going to be the daily, so that can bring us all the way back down to the range that brought us up. Go onto your higher time frames again to see where that can be. Order block on the 5 minute is here, so we can come to this point before we continue up, right? Or we can go all the way down. We're going at 1 minute, all the way down. Not really that much further down, but you could go all the way down to the midpoint of this level here. So couldn't have reacted off of anything now. Nothing held. Maybe if you didn't want the bait range, wait for the bait range. Like I said, take those trades with half the profit to make sure that you don't get blown out the water. 0.5R. So daily, one thing we can do is PDR, kind of figure out where this can go to. So this is now telling us if we're failing this range after this daily with PDRs here. Was it here? What was it? Was it this one? This one. Okay, if we're failing the 15 minute, there might be a world where we go all the way down for the 1 minute order block. It's all the way down here. So we can get those back on the screen. We failed that low, or the high, sorry. So the only thing that can recover us off of that is the range below. The range below is the thing to look at once the range that you was waiting to close fails, right? That's the thing that can flip us. So go on to the 1 minute again. The 1 minute time frame. We have, sorry, I need to find 5 minute real quick. 5 minutes all the way there. I won't be looking at that, it's quite high. Okay, so that is the, I think that's the 15 minute midpoint, right? Yes, 15 minute midpoint. Okay, so these levels we're looking at. These levels here. Okay, if it's not hit anything yet, we can get rid of these. Let's go on a 15 minute real quick. I just want to see if we've closed. We haven't closed this. If we close this, but we hold this, this might just be what momentarily flips us, even though we've closed this, just because in the grand scheme of things, daily PDRs here that we held brings us up to here. So if we're cycling levels, PDR to break us above here. to the 1 minute. So this range we don't care about closing, right? We don't care too much. We can see this is a liquidity sweep for it coming all the way down. Any reason to get into anything yet? You could have tried if this candle wasn't so big, and we did gain the midpoint. I would have tried this, knowing full well this once again is a bait range. This is the first range that closed after trying to stabilize off of a level. Not even the level actually, it's just liquidity. We actually missed that. So actually I wouldn't go for this, but that's what I would have looked at. That would have been the bait range. Taking the midpoint. Remember, bait ranges, I think you should target a bit less, because the likelihood of them not working out is a lot higher. Let's continue. So after we hit this level, none of these lows being closed we should care about anymore. Cool. Bait range here. If this holds, this would be your bait range. So if you want to do the bait range, half an hour. If not, wait for the next range to close. Closed. Order block here. So bait range held. This is the range that tested into the level that can flip. So just to, you know, make sure you understand bait ranges completely, it's always that first range that tests into the level that you're anticipating direction changing off of. So that range is being used to see if it's actually going to flip direction. If you want to take a trade off of a bait range, target a bit less. Okay. Bait range held. This range is not a bait range, this is a continuation range. Continuation range can be a trade set up here for us once we gain the midpoint. Well, 1 hour is only here. You know, 1 hour's there. There's nothing saying you can't get a bit more out of this trade, right? Just target the high if you want. This is what I'm saying. Every trade doesn't have to be 1 hour. If you think you can get more, and you're not being an idiot about it, try and get more. 1.38. In this instance, you can try and go for that. Cool. What are we doing here again? Same thing. We close this round. So, what did I say about looking at higher time frames? Because, yeah, this is the 1 minute order block for the range. But what if the 5 minute order block's here and we hold that and we don't look at the higher time frame and notice we're holding here? We would still be waiting for price to come all the way down to here, and we're going to see this as something as not worthy to take, because we're just thinking, well, we've closed the 1 minute higher, so why are we not coming down to here? Because on a higher time frame this could be a 5 minute order block that we're holding, which is in the same range as this 1 minute. So cool. So the 5 minute order blocks here. We could come to here and not come all the way down to here. 15 minute order block, same level. Not going to push down yet. Still can at some point come down. We close this, so this can momentarily flip us in direction. Momentarily, I don't think it's gonna, because of what's happening. PDR held, or not, sorry, it didn't hold actually. It didn't hold, but I still do think this won't do anything. In the grand scheme of things, this just went lower. This range isn't really too much. It still can take us down, So I would still be looking at this and not jumping into a trade, obviously, waiting for that bait range, and maybe we see something happen off of it. Okay, this is something pretty good. Sorry, I don't know why I got rid of that. Holding the high of the range. The higher that took us all the way down is here. So unless we're looking at a 15-second time frame, which I don't know why I clicked that, I know it wasn't going to work. Unless we're looking at a 15-second time frame and seeing a range in here, we won't be able to know if this bait range is holding until we close here, unless we create a new range in these next few candles that we can use as a bait range. Okay, so there was no trade opportunity there. We can get rid of this. Cool, so we're at this level now. We've closed this. Once again, we need to look for all of our order blocks for this range, because if we're just sitting here waiting for this and it gets to around here and comes up, we're just going to think, well, why didn't it come all the way down to where it should do? Because like I keep saying, on the higher time frame, there's going to be more order blocks in that range, right? We did the 5 minute, the 15 minute, no reason to come all the way down. So here, order block here, we don't need to come down, we could hold the high aggressively. This range has been held, I don't want this anymore. That's the PDR, so we can keep that real quick. Our actual target is going to be the order block up here. Okay, this is the 4 hour as well. Remember, this is what we're saying about could flip us. So if we go all the way back to here real quick, so we don't spoil anything. Let's get the order block. Before I had the order block, could come here and flip us down. Okay. Right. This is the low. Does it look like it's holding in an aggressive way? Not yet. If we close this, and then I'm gonna say this level is no longer trying to hold in an aggressive way. We felt the low. If we're looking for aggression, it should do it straight away and not sideways and then go. It's aggressive, it shouldn't be doing that. So what am I going to do with that information? Okay, we're back. What am I doing with that information? I am using this as a range to get us up, right? We should have gone down aggressively off of this. We didn't. Close this range. I could use this as a bait range. Me personally, I'm not gonna. Aggressive moves should go down straight away. So in my opinion, if it doesn't and we close a higher, I don't need this as an aggressive. I don't need this as a bait range. I mean, so I'd just be taking this range. Cool. So we would have got a trade there. Not hit our target yet. If we've not hit our target yet, I would have looked at the order block. Midpoint of it can go as low as that. Once we get in the midpoint of the order block, we can take that for 1 hour. In this scenario, 1 hour is really, really close. The closer your target is, I think the more you should try and push it. For example, if you know the likelihood of a candle like this, if we're gonna go up off of it, it's gonna go a bit further, like here. Maybe just try and lock up a bit more. For example, what if you just went for 1.5 or something like that? Anyway, we shouldn't go down until we get to here. This shouldn't do anything at all. Just because we closed it doesn't mean anything, because we closed this to get to the order block to continue up. So this is just something that I would consider white noise, not really anything important. We've not got to our target yet, so if we close this here and test this, if I was trying to continue longs, I'd want to use this range as a bait range now because we tested the level. I wouldn't be looking at this for a long. I'd be looking to short off of this to try and push us down to the range below, knowing full well my target's up, but we're just looking for that flip in direction if we can get it. We hold it. So what I'm looking for here, closing this. This is a good one because the order box here, we don't have to come all the way up, right? This is the order block. Cool. Any trade opportunities? Not really, unless you'd want to go for the midpoint of this, anticipating an immediate rebalance, not going any higher than that. Not a type of trade I would recommend you going for anytime soon, but you have to realize this is still a trade off of an order block, so your setup is still there. The entry though I think is a bit too aggressive for you in this moment, but this is something I would look at. Something like this, if we was to gain the midpoint of it. So as we can see there, it pushed up before, went down. Don't know if I would have got anything there. Continue. So if we're using this as a bait range, if you want to, you probably should, because we're looking for direction to flip, right? Wait for the next low to close to get a trade. Failed the higher, so anything in this shouldn't do anything. We failed the 5-minute higher, so the range hasn't fully been, in my words, fully hasn't been activated. So this is what I'd be looking at. I'd be looking at this low to close, testing into the order block. So that's already happened. Closed. I would have took the midpoint of this candle to take that down. We are trying to target 1R, so it's just below, right there. That's what we could do. We've got a daily level below us. We can always try and push more for it, but don't try and push more every single trade. You need to be trying to look up 1R. The more confident you are in the move, the more you should try and push. Don't try and push every single one. This would have been the same thing. I would have, look at this, right? I would have took profit already with this candle down. This closed this. This is the next range to hold. We took this, anticipating this is the order block for the next range, right? It became true. We closed it. We test back up into it. This is our next trade. Down, 1R. We've already taken 2 trades in the same range. Both were a win. Now we've hit our daily level. We're looking to see if direction's going to flip. So we're no longer looking for continuations down. Remember that. Once we hit the target, stop looking for those continuations. If you're still looking for them after this video, and then you are just stupid, you're just losing on purpose. Please don't. Exhibit A, you would have taken a loss. We're looking for that flip in direction, right? So we have our bait range. Bait range holding. We don't have to come down to the order block, remember that, right? You can hold off the high. But just remember, if you're holding high, you can still come to the low in the future. Bait range holding. So what we'd be looking for is we go into a high time frame. Where's the high? We have to come all the way up to here to invalidate this now. So like I said, momentarily flip direction. Still world where we come all the way down to here. If we go into a higher time frame, let's find where we could go. You can hold anything in this range, this lower point of the range, or you can hold the top of the range. I wouldn't be looking at anything like a random fair value gap. Be looking at the higher the range, order block, fair value gap, and the order blocks inside of the order block. So that would be a 15-minute order block. We have the 5-minute and the 1-minute order block. So I'm looking for this range to continue up, right? I don't think we have to go all the way down to here at all. So closed. If we can close this, and then this range here can be used. Remember, we can still come down to here. We're just reacting for what's happening. This stuff here, we're looking at momentarily flipping direction. So seeing this interior range failing, coming down to the exterior range. I'm only thinking that this is going to flip direction momentarily. Technically this range has already been tested, so this is not going to do anything important, just flipping. If you want to confirm that, just use this as a bait range, right? Don't go for this trade. Wait. In my opinion, I won't be waiting. The bait range, in my opinion, isn't needed. Closed. Okay, so if you was waiting for the bait range, this is your new thing. Remember, we no longer need it to come down to here. If we're holding here, was confirming the highest holding, closing this. This is your new range to look at. Still do the same setup. Just stop looking at the low coming, it coming down to the low. If we've closed the high of the new range, right? Just like that, comes down, holds, goes all the way up. Look at that trade. So this would have been out, holding the order block, close. No longer need to come down to here because we're holding the high of the range. You know, 10R. I mean, I know we're not targeting this anymore, but that's how easy your trade can be, right? And let's go to there. And remember, the smaller your stop loss, and you've got to look at it this way. It's a lot more obvious that your trade's going to go a lot further with how small your stop loss is, right? Let's say the high is here for this. We closed here. There's nothing saying we can't get to the high. I thought I just ended the recording now. I was about to be really upset. Okay. Remember, we think we're going to go up. Closed. Momentary flip direction. Remember as well, this range has already been tested, and here. Nothing saying we can't come to the midpoint of it. We're doing that perfectly right now. We don't have a low until here, so we can't really use a bait range until that happens. By the time the bait range holds, we might already be all the way down at target anyway, so I wouldn't be looking for shorts. If we want to look for shorts, we would now do it off of what has just happened. So bait range holding. If we close here, we can now use this. That's the next thing. Okay, so in my opinion, we're kind of at target. If you still think you can go lower, yeah, you can go for a short here. I'd rather look at a higher time frame to see if we've gone to anywhere yet. If this hasn't gone to here yet on the 1 minute, then I would have still been looking at this in the moment. I know we know it gets here now because we've seen. If we've not got there yet, then in my opinion, I'll be looking at this still going lower because we're not actually holding anything. Yeah, we're not holding higher. We still need to come down lower. We don't have to. I think it will though. So yeah, I wouldn't mind this. I don't think this would be bad. So we gain that. We would add a stop loss there. It's the same thing like I just said, right? If it looks pretty obvious that it's going to go further down, these are the type of trades where you can try and get more. Don't try and do it every trade though. One eye is all you need. So I'd be trying to take that down, hit target. Cool. We're flipping direction. Let's do our bait range. Cool. So bait range held now. Any reason to come lower? Here. We didn't hold the high. So I can still kind of expect it could come lower. Cool, because we didn't hold anything. We're at that point now. Did we close the low for this order block? We did. But is this really saying anything for us? No. If it's not saying anything, coming all the way down to the order block for this range, it's something you could try. Definitely try it if you want to. Right, I don't think it's a bad attempt. You know, it is the bait range though, remember that. This is the bait range because we didn't hold anything in the range. So we're kind of looking at this to see if it's going to hold. So, in my opinion, because we haven't held the bait range yet, and we failed this high, I don't want to take a spontaneous trade off of this. I'd want to wait. So, I would be waiting. This is our new high. We would have taken a loss there, I'm pretty sure. It wouldn't have got to 1R before it flipped. Remember though, if you're taking trades for bait ranges, target a bit less. So you would have been able to get a win there if you was targeting less. So we're just waiting for that high. High's gone. Sweep of the range. Wouldn't have held anything here yet. Came all the way down to the lowest point of the range. Swept liquidity. So now, in my opinion, there's a bit more confirmation that price is trying to push higher. A bit choppy, pretty choppy actually. Double sweeping liquidity. Double sweeping liquidity, close. Would we have got a trade off of anything here? Didn't get the midpoint. Maybe you would have tried this and taken a loss. I think that's a bit of a stretch with this really. If you did and got a loss, I would see that as a justifiable loss. Really, I wouldn't have seen anything wrong with that at all. Next thing you could try would be close this, wait for the price to come down. Remember, like I said, you can go as low as the low. Sweeped up, midpoint of the candle, 1R to here, taking a nice trade there, continuing that ladder in effect up. So next range higher, we're trying to close this exterior higher, so this range is more likely to foul because we didn't close the exterior range, which this should have done. Just like so. So when you have a pausing direction and then it comes down, fails to higher, see this range here, once it closes and still hasn't closed the exterior higher, as a range that's more likely to fail. Remember that. See if there's any more examples real quick. I don't think there is. I think I've only just mentioned that because I've only just seen it now. Is there any other examples of that? Not really any I can see. Okay, well anyway, just kind of try and remember that. If right, so this held this range, right? This should close this. It flips, comes down to here. This is a middle range that failed to close here. Once you see that this is failed again, this range here is most likely going to fail. If you need me to make a video on that, just let me know, and I will. But just try and kind of remember that concept. But don't confuse yourself with that just because I said it once. Okay. So remember, we're just looking at this as a flip direction. We're fading the high, which we are. We now think it's going to come all the way down to here, so let's look for reasons to come lower. Okay, so coming back up to here, cycle our time frames. Order block is right here. We're holding the order block. Do we have a 1 minute range we can use as a bait range? Failed to close. This was the first thing it tested into it. We have closed this now. We've closed. This is the actual low I'd be looking at, to be honest. If we closed this here and stayed here, I would have seen this as a bait range. The range there that would have tested back up to here as the bait range. It didn't test anything. It dropped down. Unfortunately, no entries. Not looking at this, the flip direction at all, really, which it doesn't really look like it did. So this closed, failed the high, so this has already given me suspicions it's going lower. Held the order block before even closing the low. That's kind of showing aggression, trying to move lower. So I'd be looking at this range. We would have been able to get a 1 hour trade there. Tested. Got this. This is the beauty about targeting barely anything, is it normally flips before you're out, which is the case. Because we've now closed this here, didn't close it here, held it though, didn't hold it. There's still a world where we do come back and hold it again. On the other side, we've swept, which could bring you to believe that maybe we're going to break above here now. So if I'm kind of conflicted there, this is closed, we could hold here. This range doesn't really mean anything, but seeing that is kind of putting me off. I just wouldn't take a trade in any of this. Just like that, right? Because we swept, we could break higher. I don't want to take anything here because of what I'm thinking. So, if you want to use the 1 hour, which maybe you could, you got high and a low. If you're holding that, there's no reason to go lower. Remember, there's no reason to come down to the time frame below if you're holding the time frame above. What's confirming that we're holding that is you just look for a cycle up, right? I think this is a perfect cycle up. All these lows, all these highs we've closed, it's kind of confirming we're not going any lower. In this moment it did look like it until we swept. That's where it that's the first sign of showing you that this is holding. Come all the way up. I'm sure we have a new range now. We do. So 1 hour, we've got a new range. If you want to start looking at the 1 hour, or you still do. Well, that's the 15-minute time frame. I've not really spoiled anything, but I think we can go higher still. We didn't close the higher, but we closed these, so if we do go lower, this doesn't mean I don't think we're going to go all the way down to here. We're just going to hold off of this range to now close the high. So you could momentarily look for those shorts all the way down to here, but once we get here, we'd be looking for longs again. So what would I be looking at here? We've got in the volume imbalance, which I would just kind of look at the whole thing here. I would be looking at reasons to believe why we don't have to come all the way back up. Order block is here for this range, right? Separate ranges, but this is the order block for the range. This is the order block for this range that closed. Once we see this failing all these highs, I'm seeing this as a sweep. You could go something as aggressive as this. I wouldn't. This is something I would do it in the future when you get profitable, a lot more profitable. But seeing all this failure over and over again, closing all these lows, come up to here, we fell for the 4th time. I would take this down. Remember, we're looking to take this further down. I believe this is this an order block? Or what is this? I think this is the hourly, right? No, it's not. No idea what this is. It's the 1 minute order block. Don't care about that at all. Okay. So we've closed the low. If we've only closed the low on the 1 minute and not on the 5 minute or anything, and we come all the way up to here, I'm not looking for this to flip direction, because we failed to close it on any other time frame. Because we close it on the 1 minute doesn't mean that much if we fail to close on the higher time frames. It's like you can't expect every 15-second range to hold because we close on the 15-second but not with the 1 minute. It still can, obviously. We don't get up to there anyway. We don't get up to there. We just hold the range here, the range that actually closed, to break the range that we failed to close the first time. So once you get that, no longer looking at anything as a sweep to break higher. Cool. So if this does anything, we're just looking for it to flip us up before going lower. Any reason to think we're going to go back up to here anymore? Well, we failed the higher. If we close the low, then I would no longer be looking at the range above. Close the low. Just like so, we sweep, could have taken us down to here. But once we start closing highs and stuff, and then we can start saying, yeah, we can actually get up to what pushed us down. Look at this already. This swept, this should have broke us down. It doesn't, it closes. You don't need to see this as a bait range. Bait ranges can be used in a lot of different ways. Bait range, right, swept, should have broke us down, it doesn't. So, not really a bait range in my opinion. If you want to see it as a bait range, then you can. Closed, seeing if this can hold, taking a trade based off this order block to push higher. Fouls, so in this scenario, I guess the bait range was used perfectly, really. I still wouldn't have seen it as a bait range in my opinion. Could we got a trade off of that? I would have. I'm not going to sit here and say I wouldn't have. Holding the order block, looking to get this to close this high. Sure, I just got break even or 1R because I do target 2R. It didn't hit 2R, so I'm sure I just got break even. But I would have tried that definitely. There was nothing wrong with it at all. I might have just not looked at things properly here, and yes, I didn't look at things properly. We closed, just came up to the order block, right? That's my bad for not seeing that. Came up to the body of it. Still would have tried that, so what I would have done instead of targeting 2R, yeah, I can say this in hindsight because we've seen it now, but this is truly what I would have done in the moment. Just obviously target there, not being stupid, trying to get a bit more out of it. If the level's there, that's what my target is, right? Not trying to just say something to make myself look good. Could not care. But yeah, I'm gonna leave this video here because it's already 56 minutes long. But I hope that kind of clears a bit up about, you know, closing ranges. It doesn't have to come all the way down. Doesn't have to come all the way down to the lowest point, being that 1 minute candle, right? Order block. You know, we closed this. Let's say there's a 5 minute level somewhere this is holding. We no longer need to look at the order block anymore because we're already holding that range. So just look for something off of that next range. And what we're looking for is, if we are holding something and we close that next high that brought us to that level, we can now look at that range to now say we no longer need to go down to here. I'll make another video with the same, going off the stuff again tomorrow, or the next video should just be the same thing, just to, you know, make sure this goes into your head.